Hi all, from this week we're gonna start Unit 3. So in Unit 3 we will talk about some ways to improve our instructions in mathematics, right? But the context will be in multiplication and division. So we are done with addition and subtraction, okay? So the first thing that I want to talk about is talk moves in the mathematics classroom. I don't know how familiar you are with the talk moves. In assignment 3, we also talked about some mathematical discussion. This is a little bit different, but there's a lot of similarity too. Okay, so let's take a look. Before we start, I'm gonna show you what talk moves is about. So these authors, Chapin, O'Connor, and Anderson, they wrote the book Talk Moves. Some universities use this as the textbook for math course. I don't know if you have heard of this one or not, but I strongly encourage you to read this book. Okay, so let's see what the book is like. Yeah, so in Amazon or any other, there are a lot of websites that you can find this book. So this is the book cover like. This is most recent one, third edition. But there are second edition is also good. So and it's cheaper. So if you are interested, I encourage you to buy the book and read the book, or you can borrow that from your library if it's available. So this is the book that I'm gonna refer today. Okay, but we want to start from thinking about why talk moves are important. Why talking in classroom, why discussion in classroom is important. Because talk can reveal understanding and misunderstanding of the students. By talking, your understanding and misunderstanding is revealed, right? And also it supports robust learning by boosting memory. When you're talking, it boosts your memory. And talk also supports deeper reasoning. We can ask the student why. Then it supports their deeper reasoning. And also it supports language development and it supports development of social skills. There should be more than this, but it's only few I listed here, but always think about more benefits. Okay, with those benefits, we can do the talk moves. Then what is the talk moves? Some people say differently, and some textbooks also talk about different things. But I think these, how many are there? 4, 7. 7 of these talk moves are very, very important, and the authors of this math discussion is talking about these talk moves. So I'm going to introduce you what each of these talk moves are about and the examples of that too. So revoicing is the first thing. I like this illustration, it's so cute, isn't it? Okay, teachers often use these strategies to help students better understand what another student shared during a discussion. But how often do our students use this move? Think about it. Revoicing means repeating a student's words and asking the student to verify his or her thoughts were revoiced correctly. This move helps clarify or emphasize an idea or major point. So we can use, so I hear you saying da da da, you can say the exactly same statement that the other student said, right? You can also say, this makes sense because you say da 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 da. Another way to look at what somebody said is da da da, right? So we can revoice that. Over time, as students hear and see revoicing used in the classroom, they identify the most important elements of a conversation, and they can select the key points, the keywords to remember and rephrase to increase their own understanding. So revoicing is very, very important. How about repeating? Different from revoicing, students use this move to repeat or rephrase another speaker's comments. This move helps to reiterate important ideas and can be used to slow down the conversation and offer processing time. Teachers often use this move to emphasize an important point and ensure all students heard the students' comments. So some related sentences are like this. So I hear you saying that. So what you are saying is that. I heard you say that. We just repeat what the student has said. Teacher can do this or other students can do this. So you can ask other students to repeat what the previous student has said. Right? So when teachers ask other students to repeat what another student said, it's often to help the individual student process the information. But it also offers other students a chance to hear the same information in another way, since the comments will be rephrased in the new speaker's own words. That's repeating. How about reasoning? Once a student processes a classmate's conjecture, asking students to compare their reasoning to another student's reasoning is where the real magic happens, because students have to analyze the other student's reasoning before making the comparison and creating new connections. So some related sentences are like this. I disagree with somebody because, you can explain. I respectfully disagree because I see it different way. I think that. So you can talk about your reasoning, right? This provides an opportunity to do a deep dive into student understanding while students reflect on, analyze, and make sense of the thinking of others. This move will also provide an opportunity for students to learn to disagree respectfully without hurting other students' feeling, right? So this is very important too and powerful. Adding on, building on another student's thinking or reasoning is another important move. Like the reasoning move, students must make sense of another student's comments to do this successfully. So some related sentence is, I'd like to add to Joey's or somebody's. I use the same strategy, but I want to add that. I can prove what someone is saying is correct because that. To piggyback on what somebody had said, that. These are really good examples of adding on. This move engages students in the conversation. Consider a time when only a few students share during a discussion, right? When you use this move, you ask, would someone like to add to his or her thinking? That's a good way to add on, right? This move gives students a chance to connect to another student's thinking. So this is very high level math skill. Okay, wait time is very important too. For many of us, like including me, this is very hard. You will get to know. I actually want you guys to look at your timer when you're asking your students a question. How much time do you wait? Maybe only a few seconds. Sometimes we say that I will give you a minute, but look at your timer. You don't even can wait. You cannot even wait 10 seconds when you say you're giving the students 1 minute, right? So yeah, it is very hard. Silence is very uncomfortable and feels unproductive. But we need to remember that oftentimes silence helps students make sense of a discussion and decide which move to make next. Okay, so some related sentence stems. I'd like some time to think about. Can I have a moment to think? Take your time. I will give you time to think about. Be sure to use this move when you first ask a question, as well as when you call on a student, so that that student has time to collect and organize their thoughts. We teach our students to provide wait time to their partner or group members by naming and modeling this move. Once students understand the importance of wait time, there will be understanding of each other when it is needed or requested during small group discussion or partner discussion too. So yeah, it is very powerful. Next move I want to introduce is revised thinking. Let's look at this illustration. She's saying, after listening to Reggie, I think the answer should be ... Revising the thinking, right? After listening to the thoughts and ideas of others, make changes to your own thinking. This is at the pinnacle of a classroom discussion, I think. When students revise their own thinking based on the reasoning of someone else, you've got a powerful discussion, don't you think? We can encourage students to use this strategy by modeling it during classroom discussion. So some sentence that you can use is, after listening to someone, I think the answer should be ... After seeing somebody's work, I want to change my thinking to this. I thought ... but now I think ... I'd like to revise my thinking. For this move, students acknowledge their original thinking and articulate how and why it changed after gaining some new insights from someone else. So that's very, very powerful. The last talk move I want to talk about is turn and talk. I didn't put any, related sentence there because it's actually you turn around and talk. So you can just ask, do you want to share your thinking first? Your partners share their thinking and clarify their ideas and familiarize themselves with each other's way of thinking. This move is not only a great strategy to use to give every student a chance to share his or her thinking and feel heard, but also a chance for teachers to listen in on student conversations to determine which students to highlight during the large group discussion. So turn and talk is more like between the partners. So you can pair up the students to have this turn and talk strategy. Okay, many teachers use this strategy regularly. However, it's important to teach students how to respond during a turn and talk session. Do students just listen and move on, or do they practice revoicing, reasoning, or adding on in small group discussions? Turn and talk is a great structure to use to practice, those other moves. Okay, so I'm gonna show you some examples. Teach like a pro.
Came out of my mouth. When I first started teaching, I thought it was what came out of my mouth that was going to inspire the students. It's actually what comes out of their mouths, how they discuss things together, and that they learn much more from solving together, collaborating together, and talking together.
Before is more than half than the after.
I get
so much information from the conversations that they have. I want the discussion to go more from student to student to student and less to student to teacher to student. Why do you disagree with Jada?
Because
No, tell her.
Okay, because Jada, the 8 is already there, plus the 1, so 21 equals 81.
I found it's improved my teaching because it's really letting me know where my kids are and how they're getting to the answers they're getting to. Who can restate the pattern that Lene was using? What was her pattern? Ilana.
She counted by 5s.
She was counting by 5s. We got there faster, didn't we?
You are using talk in classrooms to promote reasoning, getting students to externalize their reasoning and to think about the reasoning of others.
Can you repeat how you got the number 30?
I did the length 6 times the width, which was 5, and I got 30.
She multiplied the length and the width, and she got 30, and then she did 30 times 3, which is the height, and got 90.
Children who aren't sure or more reticent won't volunteer to share. But when you turn and talk, it gives them some ideas, it plants some seeds in their minds, it makes them more confident.
If I rounded it toward like an equivalent fraction, like 6/8 would be equivalent to 3/4.
You double another 3, and then another 3, and then there's only a little bit more.
They have a lot to say, and what they have to share is very meaningful and important, and it gives you valid information as a teacher as to where you need to go next in your teaching.
Okay, so briefly we just saw some examples of teachers are doing the math talk, right? So that was great. So when you're starting with the math talk, you may be overwhelmed, but I don't want you to be overwhelmed yourself or your students, okay? So try only just a little bit at a time. Don't try to do all of this math talk moves at a time. It's not easy. Just focus on only one thing at a time. Okay, so you can focus on today's lesson. I'm gonna just focus on revoicing today. And the next lesson, I'm gonna do revoicing again. You can do that. For this whole week, I'm gonna do revoicing, and then you can add more to it. Oh, this week, I still gonna do the revoicing, but I'm gonna add wait time on it. So you can, keep adding more and more and more in your practice. Okay. When students use them, highlight them to help students to build the skill so they can recognize what they are doing. They are doing the reasoning. So yeah, your reasoning is really good. That's a really great math talk skill. And someone is doing revoicing, so they can get to know and they can develop their discussion skill there too. After developing an understanding of the moves, allow students to decide how and when to use the moves in discussion. They can have their own decision there. Number 4, encourage students to use the moves in discussion and purposefully listen for them. I think these are very, very important. Okay, so that's for this week, and for homework, I want you to compare and contrast the talk moves that we discussed today with meaningful mathematical discourse from principles to actions. This is from part of your homework, assignment 3. You have read some pages in principles to actions about the discourse, right? Discussion. So I want you to compare and contrast. There should be some similarities and differences. So I want you to